Morning, Hal.
Let Teresa sit down so it doesn't look like I'm calling her out of order. Good morning, everyone. I call this October meeting of the Board of Trustees of the Institutions of Higher Learning to order. Trustee Halliburg and Trustee Parker are joining us virtually today. Good morning, Trustee Halliburg and Parker.
Good morning, everyone.
There's just one quick housekeeping note. If everyone would please remember to cut on your microphone and speak into it. I find just me speaking into it without cutting it on doesn't seem to work well. So we'll try to put both those things together and make sure everyone can hear us clearly, particularly those that are participating remotely. I do want to acknowledge the incidents that happened this past weekend during homecoming festivities at Alcorn State University and Jackson State University. Certainly the loss of life at Alcorn State University weighs on us all, as do the woundings of the other victims in Lorman and here in Jackson. I know all of our universities are constantly working with their campus police to ensure a safe environment for all events and for everyone on the campus. We're keeping our universities, those involved in the tragic events, and their families in our prayers. At this time, I'm going to call on Trustee Rader to provide us with the invocation.
Yes, I'd like to introduce my son. He's a pastor in Williamsburg, Virginia, Bryce Rader. He will give us invocation.
Let's go before the Lord and pray. Father in heaven, we praise you for the role of the IHL board. The authority that you've given them is weighty. We know that all authority has come from you and for you, so we pray that this board would use its authority to bless the universities under it. Father, help them to make the decisions so that universities would flourish, that college students would walk away after their 4 years equipped with knowledge, resources, and training to serve in whatever profession they choose. That the president and provost of each college would work for the good of the faculty and students under them, that they'd be committed to the knowledge of the truth, the safety of the students, and a prosperous institution. Lord, we want our universities in Mississippi to work to better our society, advance knowledge, pursue truth, and cultivate leaders in our world. Who can produce this but you alone? So we ask that you would give these men and women wisdom today, wisdom that only comes from you. In Christ's name, amen.
Thank you very much, Pastor Rader and Greg. We appreciate you lining up your son to do a great job for us as he's done in the past. We have several student government officials here. So I'd like for them to pick up a microphone if we have it there, and then introduce yourself and the school that you're associated with and tell us your title in the office, and then just pass the mic down. And if you'd pass it back instead of doing a mic drop, that probably would be the best way to do it here. Thank you.
Ethan Wilkins, Mississippi University for Women, SGA President. Good morning, everybody. My name is Leah Johnson. I'm currently serving as a Student Government Association President at the University of Southern Mississippi.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cameron Cummings, and I am the Student Association President for Mississippi State University.
Good morning, everyone. I am Carolina Heathcock, and I'm the Mississippi State University Vice President.
Good morning, everyone. I am Jory Thornton, Student Government Association President at Mississippi Valley State University.
Good morning. My name is Anna Ivy, and I'm from the University of Mississippi Medical Center, and I'm the Student Body President.
Good morning. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what can you do for others? Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Greetings. I am Avantavius Carter, a senior elementary education major from the historic city of Hazelhurst, Mississippi, and I humbly serve as the 68th Student Government Association President at the illustrious Alcorn State University.
Good morning. My name is Reagan Johnson. I serve as the 80th Student Government Association President at God's favorite HBCU, Jackson State University.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Zay McCorvey, and I currently serve as the Chief of Staff for the Jackson State University Student Government Association.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vivian Hale, and I serve as the Chief of Staff for the Student Government Association at the University of Southern Mississippi.
Good morning. I serve as the President Pro Tempore for the University of Mississippi. My name is Wesley Tomplay.
Thank you. We got quite a contingency here today. And we may have to keep y'all we may have to separate you if we get too strong of a plug for our universities, but we want you to know that we're for all of y'all, and we want all of you and all of your schools to thrive and do well. Dr. Cook is not here today, and we're pleased to have Dr. Joyce Buckner Brown in his place. Welcome, Dr. Brown. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the September minutes? If so, is there a motion to approve the minutes? It's been a motion and a second to approve the minutes. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburg?
Aye.
The motion passes. Next, I'm going to ask Dr. Gerald Briggs to come to the podium or to share with us insight as to Mississippi Valley State University. And I want to hear about one goal, one team, one valley in motion. We do appreciate all you do for us. Yes.
Well, good morning, President Ogletree, Commissioner Rankins, and members of the IHL Board. I'm pleased to present an update on Mississippi Valley State University, highlighting our progress, priorities, and continued impact on students, the community, and the state of Mississippi. In 1946, Mississippi Vocational College was founded to educate and empower the underserved, preparing them to lead classrooms, communities, and change. And in 1950, the doors opened to 205 in-service teachers who carried education into rural communities. Valley was built for first-generation dreamers, and that legacy lives on even today. Over the decades, we've grown from Mississippi Vocational College to Mississippi Valley State University, a beacon of opportunity producing educators, leaders, and change agents who have served the Delta and beyond. At MVSU, our mission is more than just words on a page. It's a promise. We believe in the power of personal connection, meeting students where they are and helping them to grow into leaders they're destined to be. Our commitment to teaching, learning, research, and service ensures that every student has access to a high-quality education that prepares them for success, not just in the classroom, but in their careers and communities. And because of our deep roots in the Mississippi Delta, We know that when our students succeed, our communities thrive. This is why we say MVSU is not only educating students, we're transforming lives and shaping the future. As President Ogletree said, y'all have heard me say many times that 8-word vision that we have at the Valley. That one goal, one team, one Valley in motion. One goal, again, is student success. One team is university and community stakeholders, all of us working together. That one Valley is school pride, second to none. We love us some Mississippi Valley State University. We really do. And in motion speaks about our progress, being strategic in our planning and really moving the university forward. And as you can see from these next couple of slides, MVSU is deeply woven into the fabric of the Mississippi Delta. Our students, alumni, and partners are not just learning here, they're making a real impact on the communities around us. With more than 75% of our students coming from Mississippi, mostly from the Delta, MVSU continues to be a major contributor to the state's economy and a critical part of its workforce pipeline. We're proud to partner with organizations like the B.B. King Museum, the Boys and Girls Club of Greenwood, the City of Greenville, Delta Health Alliance, the Grammy Museum in Cleveland, Riverview Nursing Home, and the Museum of the Mississippi Delta, just to name a few. These partnerships connect classroom learning with real-world service and opportunity. And here's what makes that impact even stronger. Our graduates stay in Mississippi. Between 2012 and 2018, up to 58% of our bachelor's graduates and up to 80% of our master's graduates remained in Mississippi to live, work, and lead. And over the past 5 years, 1/3 or more of our undergraduates have been enrolled in high-need fields like education and STEM, directly supporting the state's most critical workforce areas. Simply put, MVSU isn't just in the Delta, we're working for the Delta and beyond. In MVSU, we have a proud history of producing leaders who've changed the game, not just in their professions, but in the world. David Deacon Jones is remembered as one of the most dominant defensive players in NFL history. He coined the term sack and was introduced into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1980. He paved the way for generations of athletes who followed. Jerry Rice, who we refer to as Jerry World Rice, is a proud Valley graduate and is widely recognized as the greatest wide receiver in NFL history. And us at Valley consider him the greatest player in NFL history. A 3-time Super Bowl champion and Hall of Famer. He still holds more than 100 NFL records, proof that excellence can come from the Mississippi Delta. Major General Everett Thomas, retired from the U.S. Air Force, commanded the Air Force Global Strike Command and served as Vice Commander of Air Force Materiel Command. His distinguished career is a testament to leadership, discipline, and service to our country. Katie Green Hall broke political barriers as the first African-American woman from Indiana elected to the U.S. Congress. She authored the bill that made Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day a federal holiday, leaving a lasting mark on our nation's history. And right here at home, Senator David Jordan, who served in the Mississippi State Senate since 1993. An educator and community leader, he has spent decades representing our great state and supporting education and the opportunities, particularly for the people in the Mississippi Delta. Again, our alums are really doing some outstanding things, but so are our current students. And I want to take an opportunity to highlight a couple of our student groups and student organizations. Our Mean Green Marching Machine is one of our greatest ambassadors. And in 1965, they made history as the first HBCU band to march in the Rose Bowl parade, returning in 1968. And in 1969, they took that same Delta pride to Washington, D.C., performing at the inauguration of President Richard Nixon. Decades later, after years of growth in size, sound, and national recognition, they again represented Mississippi Valley State University in the great state of Mississippi at President Trump's second inauguration. 3 years ago, our band roughly was 65 band members. Today, our band is well over 300 band members. And that's a testament to the director, Dr. Barnes, and really having the passion and understanding and recognizing again what the band has done for the university. But equally impressive is our Valley Singers, under the direction of Dr. Brandon Cash, have once again shown the world what MVSU is made of. This year, they traveled across the globe to Italy and earned silver, second place at the very prestigious 33rd Annual International Verona Choral Competition. And I do have to recognize our SGA President, Joy Thornton, who's a member of this outstanding choir. Now, these next slides is really about something that truly defines who we are at MVSU, our access and opportunity. The college access rate measures the percentage of students who come from households earning under $46,000 who are attending college. The nationwide average for this is 22.5%. But for HBCUs, the overall average is 51.3%. But here at MVSU, our access rate is 75%, the highest of any HBCU in the country, and the second nationwide amongst all colleges and universities. Now, this isn't just a statistic. It's a reflection on our mission to open doors, create pathways, and change lives. It shows the world that Valley is leading in making higher education accessible to those who need it. Access is powerful, but access alone is not enough. What truly matters is what happens after students come to the university and then graduate. The mobility rate measures how many of those students, again from that access pool, came to the university from low-income families, but have now moved into their careers and now have established middle class or higher status. Nationwide, the social mobility rate is 15.8%. Across all HBCUs, it's 34.3%. But for MVSU, our mobility rate stands at 40.9%, ranking us number 8 amongst all HBCUs in the country. Access and mobility truly is what Mississippi Valley State University is about. And that's what it really means when we talk about access and mobility. We're leading the nation in creating real opportunities for students from low-income backgrounds. But more than that, we're proving that when students come to the university, they thrive and move forward with strength and purpose. Our campus improvements are more than just buildings. They're about creating spaces where students can learn, live, and thrive. Our priorities are modernization, safety, innovation, and accessibility, turning our campus into a strong hub for learning and opportunity. And although you see our priorities here, I also have to speak to, we do have some current projects underway. The complete renovation of our student union and one of our academic buildings, as well as adding to athletics with our baseball pavilion. Just examples of, again, us continuing to look for ways to continue to improve our campus for our greater student success. And one of our signature partnerships that we have at the university is with FedEx Logistics, which made history by launching the first and only logistics customs brokerage satellite office on a college campus. And that happened at Mississippi Valley State University. And through this arrangement, qualified students gain real paid work experience in logistics, customs operations, and brokerage services while still in school. And many of them, after they graduated, are now full-time employees with FedEx Logistics. Now, during COVID, our on-campus operation transitioned to a virtual platform. And following COVID, through the changes in leadership at FedEx, they decided not to open any of their satellite locations. But we still have communication with them. I actually had a conversation with their leadership on Monday to discuss other options to continue this partnership that we have, this very important partnership with FedEx Logistics. But FedEx is not alone in our partnership. We're also building strong partnerships with Toyota, Nissan, Milwaukee Tool, and our sister institutions here today. These collaborations open doors for internships, training, and workforce development in high-demand fields. And every partnership helps us and our students the tools and skills to connect and continue to be successful. And as we talk about our strategic enrollment, our enrollment and retention numbers tell a strong story, one of growth and forward momentum. The past 3 years, we've seen steady improvement in our first to second year retention, from 62% in 2021-2022 to 70% in 2023-2024, and our preliminary numbers are saying we're increasing even more to 73% this year. That's progress we can all be proud of. And at the same time, our overall enrollment has remained stable over the last 4 years. After a dip in 2022, which was the height of the COVID impact, we saw a strong bounce back year in 2023 with a 16.9% increase in that 1 year. And that increase continues today. And at MVSU, we're not just keeping up. We're moving ahead through academic innovation. This year, 10 faculty and staff earned the AI credentials through the ACUE program. And we've begun integrating AI into courses to give students hand-on experience with emerging tools. We're also expanding workforce-aligned programs, including concentrations in cybersecurity, bioinformatics with data science, and environmental health with health science, ensuring our students are prepared, again, for these high-demand fields. One of our most powerful examples of innovation and access is our Prison Education Partnership Program, our PEP program. This program offers incarcerated students the chance to earn a bachelor's degree. Launched in 2021, the PEP program currently offers degrees in business administration, computer and information technology science, and engineering technology. The program is currently active at 2 correctional facilities, Delta Correctional Facility in LaFleur County and the Bolivar County Regional Correctional Facility. This program reflects our commitment to education and transformation, creating pathways to opportunities and hope where it's needed most. And actually, this past year, we became one of the first universities to receive a affirmation and accreditation from SAC-COC for this program. It's only a couple that's been awarded that in the country, and we were one of them. So expanding our academic footprint with new and future programs designed to meet the demands of tomorrow's workforce. We're hoping in 2026, we'll launch a Master of Science in AI and Machine Learning for biomedical and environmental health. We anticipate starting this with 10 to 15 students in year one and growing it to over 20 students, hopefully by year 3. We're also developing a new graduate program in educational leadership, which will help us strengthen the state's teacher and leadership pipeline. We know that here in the state of Mississippi, we have a vast shortage for teachers. And education will continue to be one of our primary departments as we look to add and build. And these new programs reflect our commitment to innovation, workforce alignment, and academic excellence. Now, before I move forward, I want you to hear directly from one of our Valley scholars and his own words about how Mississippi Valley State University has shaped his life and why this institution is so vital to so many.
Hello, my name is Joshua Gordon, and I'm from Jackson, Mississippi. When I think about my journey, I know without a doubt that Mississippi Valley State University has changed my life. MVSU has given me opportunities I never thought were possible, from hands-on learning in the classroom, to leadership experiences on campus, to building relationships that will last a lifetime. As a student from right here in Mississippi, I am proud to say that Valley has prepared me to compete anywhere in the world while staying true to who I am and where I come from. For me, MVSU isn't just a university, it's a family. And it's proof that when you invest in students like me, you're investing in the future of our state, our communities, and our world. Thank you, Mississippi Valley State University, for opening the door to my future.
MVSU, service isn't just something we do. It's who we are. The university motto is live for service. And we live that every day, our students, the faculty and staff. In fact, all undergraduates to graduate have to complete at least 60 hours of community service. That's part of our curriculum. Again, understanding the importance of giving back in service. And that commitment translates into more than 10,000 volunteer hours invested back in our local communities on a yearly basis. And in fact, last year, well, in 2023-2024, our students completed over 12,000 hours, representing over $300,000 in community impact. But it's more than just numbers. Community service shapes character, builds responsibility, and allows our students to make a real difference in the Mississippi Delta and beyond. Now, as I close, I have to reflect back and just say this is our 75th anniversary. This year, we celebrate 75 years of legacy, leadership, and impact. From our humble beginnings to now, Mississippi Valley State University has remained a place where dreams are nurtured, leaders are built, and communities are transformed. And as we honor our past, we look boldly to the future. And we do so, again, with that 8-word vision of one goal, one team, one valley in motion. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Briggs. Your comments were very instructive and helpful for all of us to focus on the many good things that you and the university are doing, and we appreciate it. So Dr. Cunningham, if you would introduce our next speaker, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. At our meeting on September 18, the Board of Trustees voted to engage AGB Search to lead a national search for the next president of Jackson State University. I'm pleased to announce that we have begun conversations with AGB Search about the immediate next steps. There are two individuals leading the AGB Search team on this project. Dr. Kim Bobby is a principal with AGB Search. She joined the team in 2017 and brings an extensive range of experience to this process. Dr. Carlton Brown is a senior executive search consultant and also joined AGB Search in 2017. He has a great deal of practical experience, including having served as president of Savannah State University from 1997 to 2007, and then as president of Clark Atlanta University for 7 years. We have asked AGB Search to join us for a portion of today's meeting to share their insight into best practices related to a president search process. Dr. Bobby and Dr. Brown are joining us virtually today to speak to us on this topic, and we welcome them to our meeting. At this time, we will hear from our AGB Search partners.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate the introduction. I'm also appreciative of being able to be here and hear Dr. Briggs talk about the Valley. It was very, very instructive, and they're doing some great work down there. We're very pleased to have been selected as your search team for this search at Jackson State University. And so what we want to do very briefly is walk through that process and highlight those things that are best practices so that we can all see the context within which we're working and align ourselves with those practices. Next slide, please. Our work essentially operates through 6 stages or phases. The first one is preparing and doing research on the needs of the institution and the needs of that presidency as we move forward. Then we spend about 8 weeks in this process recruiting the candidate pool. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. Then there's a review process for the candidates involving your search committee and others that you've designated as being engaged in this process. Then there is a dual process of interviews, first semifinal interviews and then finalist interviews, leading to the appointment of a new leader. One of the pieces of the practice that we have long engaged in and that others are beginning to pick up is the idea that once an appointment is made, that's not the end of the work. That in fact, we stay and remain and assist with transition activities. In fact, we tend to encourage institutions to form a transition team in order to make sure that that new president moves with some success. Next slide, please. So in the first part of this process, initiation and planning, there's a lot of onboarding activities which we've been engaged in with John and some others. And during this time, the firm establishes a search team, and we do it a little bit differently. We give you the search team in the proposal up front, and that does not shift except in the event of an emergency or an unavoidable conflict. We spend a lot of time setting our communications expectations, how we're going to be communicating with you, through which individuals, how we're going to organize ourselves. And we also build an initial search timeline to lay out every event that will take place during the search process, every single meeting that will take place, and when those are scheduled to take place. And we essentially ask the search committee to buy into that process as we go. Next slide, please. So as we move into this process, we move to that first committee meeting. We want to make sure that the search is understood to be a confidential search, especially in its first phases, and that we want to make sure that everyone commits to that process because it's important to gather the right quality of candidates for your search. And if people believe that their application will not be held in confidence, at least through the first phases of this search, then you're going to lose your best applicants as you go. During this phase also, we finalize the timeline and set all of our meetings, and we begin the process of building the profile that will be used to guide the entire search. We believe the best practice is that before the board finalizes its description of who it is looking for, that it gain input from all stakeholder groups. And to that end, we hold listening sessions for students, faculty, staff, alumni, your partners for the institution. And we also do a survey in which people can make their input directly to the search. And that input really revolves around three simple questions. The first question is, what are the attributes of the person that you're looking for? What attributes are needed? That covers everything from credentials background to experiential background, skill sets, etc., disposition, what their history has been, what kinds of places have they worked before, whether or not they are really prepared for leadership. And then we put all of that into a profile that the board has final approval over, and the search committee has final approval over. And that becomes the basis for which we do everything else in the search, including the advertisements, the sourcing of candidates, etc. Next slide, please.
Okay.
So again, the advertisements are based on what we find in the profile, and we advertise in all the normal mechanisms, but we also communicate directly with institutions where we believe your candidate may already be. We also source candidates in a number of other ways. We use all of our networks. We have some 50 some odd search consultants, and we use their resources plus our own sources of candidates. And once we know what we're looking for, we also go directly to people that we believe may be appropriate for your institution who may not have even considered applying. Then we engage with the search committee in candidate assessment. Again, everything is based on what is in the profile. So the candidate assessment tools that we build come directly from that profile, and we try to hold everyone to that profile all the way through the search. Next slide. And Kim?
Okay, so as we advance now, the table is set. We have done our work to develop a strong pool, and we work very closely with the candidates and with the search committee to make sure that everyone is prepared for the most optimal interview experience. We work with you and we reach out to the selected candidates to schedule them, to coach them on the process. We also work with the search committee by advancing a draft set of interview questions that are designed from the profile as the candidate assessment form is. We keep everything in alignment with what we first introduced into the world that Jackson State is looking for, the next president. And we build a set of interview questions that go even deeper, that really try to get at the actual experiences, outcomes, evidence for the strong candidates. And so those interview questions are designed to draw that kind of information out, evidence-based and preparation. And we want the committee to see that the individuals that are the strongest candidates are actually doing the work. We want the committee to see these candidates doing the work that Jackson State has advertised it needs the next president to do. We also go into a deep due diligence background check with Nexus, Lexis Court Link, social media reports on the semifinalists. We investigate listed publications. We do a Google background search. And this is all tied to the individual's unique personal information, because we want to make sure that if anything is coming up, that we are able to advance that to the hiring manager. That due diligence report is something that we talk to candidates about in the early stages. If there's anything out there, you should elevate that yourself, because we're going to find that out in the due diligence process. Put some context around it. And we certainly work with the search committee chair to make sure that they're aware of anything the minute we find anything out. So then we come to the semifinalist interviews. Those interviews, the first ones are typically held in a location, and the search committee comes, everyone is in person, and we're moving back to in-person interviews, but that's still sometimes a virtual experience. But we set up an opportunity for the committee to really have a good interaction with each candidate. Dr. Brown and I are there to facilitate that. We make sure that everything on site runs smoothly and that the committee is able to focus clearly on the strongest candidates that they have now invited for a semifinalist interview. Those typically take an hour for the candidate to be asked questions by the committee. And then the candidate is then invited to ask the committee questions that are meaningful. And that really can demonstrate how they will be operating as a president. Their questions are also a part of how the committee is able to assess the strength of their candidacy. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. And then the finalist interviews, day 2 of the semifinalist interviews will result in a narrowing of that pool to a group of finalists. Those individuals will do it through an even deeper background due diligence check. And we will also follow that same process in deep communication with the chair. Those finalist interviews will engage stakeholders across the institution. However, we will give you a template. We help you out with that, but we want those finalists to be able to either respond to a prompt or do a presentation that is really developed, once again, that's unique to Jackson State, and what we want these individuals to be able to speak to, the values, the important challenges, or the kind of attributes you're looking for. We want that to be all on display through these candidates' presentations, town hall, that kind of thing. And after all the interviews are done, the candidates are assessed, the background checks are done, the negotiation for a start date is discussed with the finalists that the board has chosen. And then we end up with an announcement of your next president. And then we go back to that very important piece of information that Carlton talked about, that transition. So it's a closure of the search process, but an opening of the transition process to make sure the next president gets started on strong footing. Even if there's someone that is known to the stakeholders, this is their first time being the permanent president, and that transition really does take into account all those key stakeholders that need to be, have visits with the president, what kind of formats. We are very intentional about that over that first year because we know that is critical. Next slide. Next slide.
I think you're
I think that may be it, Dr. Bobby.
Okay.
It
Was thank you. Okay, so thank you. And we want to open it up for any questions you have about things that we discussed or things that came to mind as we talked about this process.
Any questions for Dr. Bobby or Dr. Brown? Well, we thank you guys for your presentation and for sharing your experiences and insights into this process. As chair of the board search committee, I can assure you that the board is committed to this process, which you've laid out wonderfully, and we look forward to finding the absolute best possible candidate to lead Jackson State University. We all know the university has a rich history and a bright future, and we look forward to working with you and your team from AGB Search in the months to come. We look forward to doing this process thoroughly and getting it right. So we thank you guys for your presentation.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you very much.
Thank you. Dr. Cunningham and Dr. Brown, Dr. Bobby, we do appreciate it. We look forward to working with you. We know this is going to be a detailed process, and we're all in to do it correctly and select a person that can be a great leader for Jackson State University and IHL moving forward.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to it. Bye-bye now.
Mr. President, as chair of the board search committee, I'd like to request that an item be added to today's meeting agenda. IHL policy 201.0509 authorizes the board to appoint a search advisory constituency as one of many avenues through which the board will receive stakeholder input during the presidential search. The policy directs that the commissioner and chair of the board search committee shall submit a list of potential search advisory constituency members to the full board for review and approval. I make a motion that we add to today's agenda an item requesting the commissioner and I as chair to move forward with preparing a proposed list of persons to serve on the search advisory constituency. The proposed list would then be presented to the board for consideration at a subsequent meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Cunningham. To add an item to the agenda, it requires an affirmative vote of 2/3 of the trustees' presence. Is there a second? It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor of this matter, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburg?
Aye.
The motion passes. Trustee Cunningham, if you'd please present the item for consideration.
Thank you, Mr. President. IHL policy states that the board may appoint a search advisory constituency comprised of representatives from various university stakeholder groups. The commissioner and the chair of the board search committee shall prepare a list of proposed membership to be reviewed, revised, and approved by the full board. The search advisory constituency will work under the direction of the board search committee. I make a motion that the board direct that the commissioner and I move forward with the creation of a proposed list of persons recommended to serve on the search advisory constituency. The proposed list, again, will be presented to the board for review, revision, and approval at a later meeting.
Thank you, Trustee Cunningham. That is a motion. Is there a second? It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, if all in favor of requesting the commissioner and Trustee Cunningham to prepare and present to the board a list of persons recommended to serve on this search advisory constituency, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburg?
Aye.
The motion passes. I think y'all may realize that this is the first time our board has done this in a long time. And it's because we've heard from many people asking us to broaden this process, and we're listening, and you've seen the board act. Next are the consent agendas. Is there any item that needs to be moved to a regular agenda for consideration? Okay, if not, is there a motion to approve the consent agendas? Been a motion. Is there a second? It's been a motion and second to approve the consent agendas. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed, nay. Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburg?
Aye.
The motion passes. This time we're going to move to the regular agenda, and I'll call on Trustee Hubbard on behalf of Academic Affairs to present the Academic Affairs regular agenda.
Thank you. Academic Affairs has 4 items on the regular agenda. Dr. Casey Presswood will present this information for the board's consideration.
Thank you, Trustee Hubbard. The first item on the agenda is a request for approval of a proposed amendment to Board Policy 602, Freshman Admission Requirements for University System Institutions, subsection B, full admission for first-time undergraduates. In April of this year, you approved amendments to this policy to align with changes being made with the way ACT calculates composite scores and super scores. Based on the recommendation from ACT, we amended the policy to read that institutions will not recalculate scores from tests taken prior to the rollout of the new composite score structure. I want to share with you an issue that our institutions are facing regarding this change. So, a prospective student took the ACT prior to the ACT changes in April 2025. Based on her scores in math, science, English, and reading, her composite score is 25. She takes the ACT again after April 2025, and science is no longer required. Her new composite score is calculated based on math, English, and reading. Now that she's taken the ACT twice, a super score can be calculated. So ACT calculates her super score based on highest scores in math, English, and reading because science is now optional. So her super score is 25. But prior to April 2025, her super score would have included science, and her science score would have raised her super score by 1 point. So moving from a 25 to a 26 may be the difference in whether or not this student gets institutional scholarships, and therefore may be the difference in whether or not she attends that university. So the proposed amendment to this policy is that IHL institutions may recalculate scores from tests taken prior to the rollout of the new composite score structure when it benefits the students. The rationale for this proposed Policy amendment is to allow universities to recalculate scores to the benefit of prospective students. Upon approval by the board, this policy will become effective immediately. Board staff recommends waiver of the second reading and final approval of this item.
You've heard the recommendation. I make a motion to approve this item.
There's been a motion to approve item number 1 on the regular agenda for academic affairs. Is there a second?
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburton?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Dr. Presswood.
The second item on the agenda is a request from the University of Mississippi to add a new degree program. The University of Mississippi requests the Master of Science in Air and Space Law to be housed in the School of Law. This degree program will provide focused legal knowledge in respect to the air and space industries. The master's degree in air and space law is designed to empower professionals with specialized legal expertise to allow them to excel in the dynamic aviation and space sectors without requiring a transition into legal practice. Its primary educational objectives are to bridge law and industry, foster accessibility, and prepare graduates to contribute the evolution of legal frameworks to support the exponential growth and introduction of new technologies within the aviation and space industries. This is an online and asynchronous air and space law curriculum that will be accessible to a large constituency and will enhance economic development in the United States through the enlargement and improvement of a workforce able to support the important and growing aviation and space industries. Graduates can pursue roles such as regulatory compliance specialist, risk management analyst, policy advisors, contract specialist, corporate advisors, international relations experts, and academic researchers with employers including airline, aerospace firms, government agencies, and international organizations. In Oxford, Mississippi, opportunities include academic roles at Ole Miss, consulting for local businesses, which will become increasingly reliant on space data and drones, and policy work with regional agencies. Statewide, graduates can work at NASA Space Center, aerospace suppliers, airports, or in state government roles supporting Mississippi's aerospace and UAS initiatives. There are no institutions in the state offering a similar degree program. Board staff recommends approval of this item.
You've heard the recommendation. I make a motion to approve this item.
There's been a motion to approve item number 2 on the agenda. Is there a second? Been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburton?
Aye.
And if you would give me a point of personal privilege, the space law program is not new at the Ole Miss Law School. They were way ahead of the curve. When I was there, they even had the program. I'll tell you how long it's been there, and it's been very successful. And we congratulate Dr. Boyce and for the continued evolution of this program as it keeps up with the challenges and opportunities that we have today.
Next, we have requests to add new centers and institutes. Mississippi State University requests the creation of the Nancy Fair Link Laminitis Research Center to be housed in the College of Veterinary Medicine in the Wise Center. The purpose of this extensive scope and outreach center is to fill a critical research gap in equine veterinary medicine by focusing solely on laminitis in non-racing horses, a population that is underrepresented in current studies. It provides a dedicated resourced environment for interdisciplinary inquiry, integrating clinical care, laboratory research, and epidemiological analysis to comprehensively address equine laminitis. The center will position Mississippi State as an international leader in equine laminitis research, education, and clinical excellence. The center is being funded by a 13-year gift agreement, which includes faculty and staff salaries and benefits, graduate assistantships, travel costs for educational and research purposes, annual budget, and annual research initiatives strictly related to laminitis. The University of Mississippi requests the creation of the Center for Information Advantage and Effectiveness to be housed in the Office of Research and Economic Development. This limited scope and outreach center will conduct basic and applied interdisciplinary research on how organizations can direct, respond, and measure the impact of both their messaging and messaging potentially influencing their organization and the public. To achieve its mission, the center will partner with public and private sector organizations and consider the use of both AI and traditional message planning, content creation, and dissemination. Particular topics of interest include national security, public health, and other areas in the public interest. The anticipated annual cost of this center is $176,000 to be funded by sponsored programs, external grants, gifts, in-kind donations, such as equipment and software. The University of Mississippi requests the creation of the National Center for Tactical Readiness to be housed in the Office of Research and Economic Development. This limited scope and outreach center aims to enhance the health, performance, resilience, and operational readiness of military personnel, first responders, and other tactical professionals through applied research, education, workforce development, and community engagement. Despite the state's large concentration of military bases, National Guard units, and emergency responders, there is no dedicated research center in Mississippi or in the Southeast focused on applied solutions for tactical populations. This center fills this strategic gap by leveraging the university's interdisciplinary faculty strengths in exercise science, engineering, pharmacy, public health, and behavioral health to conduct real-world research, deliver workforce training, and build collaborative partnerships. The anticipated annual cost of this center is $982,000 to be funded by federal, state, and private resources. The University of Mississippi requests the creation of the Mississippi Institute for National Security and Resilience to be housed in the Office of Research and Economic Development. This extensive scope and outreach institute will house the two centers that I just mentioned, the Center for Information Advantage and Effectiveness and the National Center for Tactical Readiness. Together, these entities will create a world-class hub for advancing strategic readiness, security, and resilience at the state, national, and global levels. While each center will maintain its own specialized focus and autonomy, their integration within the Institute will enable unprecedented cross-disciplinary and government industry and broader stakeholder collaboration. The anticipated annual cost of this center is $269,000 to be funded by sponsored programs, external grants, gifts, in-kind donations, such as equipment and software. Board staff recommends approval of these items.
You've heard the recommendation. I make a motion to approve these items.
There's been a motion to approve items number 3 on the agenda. Is there a second? There's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburton?
Aye.
The last item on the agenda is the annual academic productivity review. Academic productivity reviews are triggered when cumulative graduates over the past 3 academic years for a single degree program are less than 18 for baccalaureate degrees, less than 12 for master level degrees, and less than 5 for specialist and doctoral level degrees. 35 academic programs were evaluated to assess need, potential to grow enrollment, productivity potential, and unnecessary duplication. Based on proposals prepared by each institution and subsequent review by my office, the following recommendations are presented for board approval. 5 academic degree programs are recommended to continue with stipulation. These programs are subject to additional review by Academic and Student Affairs for 2 years to assess progress toward future productivity. Their first annual report for each of these programs will be due December 1st, 2026. Alcorn State Bachelor of Arts in Political Science, Alcorn State Bachelor of Science in Robotics and Automation Technology, Jackson State Bachelor of Science in Mathematics Education, Jackson State Masters of Art in English, Jackson State Master of Science in Education and Special Education. 7 degree programs are being recommended for suspension. These programs will be deleted in October 2028 if the university does not make a recommendation prior to that date to delete or remove the program from suspension. Alcorn State, the Bachelor of Science in Recreation, Mississippi State, the Master of Science in Biosystems Engineering, the University Medical Center, Bachelor of Science in Health Informatics and Information Management, University of Southern Mississippi, Master of Arts in Anthropology, University of Southern Mississippi, Master of Arts in Political Science, University of Southern Mississippi, Master of Science in Computational Mathematics and Data Applications, University of Southern Mississippi, Master of Science in Physics. 2 degree programs are being recommended for deletion from Mississippi State, the Bachelor of Applied Technology in Applied Technology, and from the University of Southern Mississippi, the Doctor of Philosophy in Higher Education Administration. Board staff recommends approval of these items.
You've heard the recommendation. I make a motion to approve this item.
It's been a motion to approve item number 4. Is there a second? It's been a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Trustee Halliburg,
Aye.
Trustee Parker,
Aye.
the motion passes.
This concludes academic affairs regular agenda.
Thank you, Trustee Hubbard, and thank you, Dr. Presswood. Before we proceed, let the record show that Trustee Clark is going to recuse himself before we consider item number 1 on the finance and budget regular agenda. Someone will tell you when to return to the room. Trustee Stevenson will lead this part of our session. Trustee Stevenson.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have 2 items on the regular agenda today. They are contractual agreements from the University of Mississippi Medical Center. I call on Dr. Pierce to discuss the specifics of these items.
Thank you. Item number 1 is a request from the University of Mississippi Medical Center to enter into an anesthesia services agreement with Willow Anesthesia Services LLC to provide full coverage for UMMC's Grenada facility. The term of the agreement is for 3 years at a cost of $5.5 million. Under the agreement, Willow will supply CRNA coverage as well as a physician to serve as a medical director. The agreement can be terminated by UMMC with 180 days notice. UMMC is currently contracted with Willow, and UMMC finds Willow to be able to provide a stable service in a rural hospital setting. Legal staff has reviewed this agreement for compliance with applicable law and finds it to be acceptable, and board staff recommends this item for approval.
You have heard the recommendation from board staff. I make a motion to approve item number 1.
There's been a motion to approve item number 1. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburg?
Aye.
The motion passes. Bridget, if you would ask Trustee Clark to return and let the record show that I'm recusing myself from item number 2 on the finance and budget regular agenda, and Vice President Cunningham will lead the discussion in my absence.
Please continue.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 2 is a request from the University of Mississippi Medical Center to increase the total contract expenditure amount for a campus and school agreement with Microsoft Corporation. The agreement allows UMMC to use Microsoft software under a volume licensing agreement, including Office 365 and Windows desktop operating systems. The term of the agreement is for 10 years, having originally been entered into in 2017 and will continue through 2027. This agreement will increase the total contract expenditure by $1 million to $17.6 million due to increased usage. The agreement may be terminated with 60 days' notice. Legal staff has reviewed this agreement for compliance with applicable law and finds it to be acceptable, and board staff recommends approval of this item.
You have heard the recommendation from board staff. I make a motion to approve item number 2.
Is there a second? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Heidelberg?
Aye.
The motion passes.
That concludes the finance and budget agenda.
Thank you, Trustee Stevenson. Bridget, please ask President Ogletree to return, please.
All right, before we proceed to the next item on the agenda, let the record reflect that Trustee Clark is recusing himself from items 1 and 2 on the regular real estate agenda. And someone will let you know, Trustee Clark, when to return. So I'll call on Trustee Rader to bring forward the real estate agenda for us.
There are 3 items on the real estate agenda today. Mr. Brad Rowland will present these items for the board's consideration. Mr. President, I recommend that we take up items 1 and 2 as a group.
Thank you, Trustee Rader. Item number 1 is.
Let me go ahead and, since we're going to combine them, take a vote on combining them, and then we'll let you present them. So there's been motion to combine 1 and 2. Is there a second to that? If there's no objection, we'll just do that by unanimous consent. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, President Ogletree. Item number 1 is from Mississippi State University, a request for the Wise Center renovation additions to increase the project budget from $33 million to $36 million for an increase in the amount of $3 million. In addition, MSU requests to modify the funding source to include College of Veterinary Medicine funds in the amount of $3 million to support the budget increase. The proposed additions to the project include a new equine hospital entrance, a farm hospital, and the Nancy Fair Link Laminitis Center. The additional funds are necessary to cover the improvements to the existing mechanical systems to accommodate the proposed additions. The new budget would be $36 million. Item number 2 is also a request from MSU for the Aquatic Food Research Center to increase the budget from $7.3 million to $9 million for an increase of $1.7 million. In addition, MSU requests to modify the funding source to include House Bill 1783, Laws of 24, Go Mesa, and interest from Senate Bill 3045, Laws of 22 as a funding source for the project. This project will construct an aquatic food research center on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. The complex will be built in phases as funding is secured. Phase 1 of the project will construct office spaces and laboratory spaces. The new budget would be $9 million. Board staff recommends approvals of items number 1 and 2.
You have heard the recommendations. I make a motion to approve items 1 and 2.
There's been a motion to approve items 1 and 2. Is there a second?
Second.
Been a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Heidelberg?
Aye.
Motion passes. Bridget, if you would have Trustee Clark return to the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, President Ogletree. Item number 3 is a system request for the approval of the capital facility needs request, also known as our system bond plan for the 2026 legislative session. In keeping with Board Policy 903B, which requires the preparation and submittal of an annual request for capital improvements and repair and renovation for approval by the board prior to its submission to the legislature, board approval is being requested for the capital facilities bond plan of proposed funding for the 2026 legislative session. Each university prepared their list of priorities and it was submitted to board staff. The needs of these plan are reflected in the plan of funding proposed on evaluation of these priorities in comparison to the overall system needs, as well as the priority of needs established by the Gordian report that you heard yesterday in the real estate committee meeting. Based on that, board staff recommends approval of item number 3.
You have heard the recommendation. I make a motion to approve item number 3.
It's been a motion to approve item number 3. Is there a second? Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburton?
Aye.
The motion passes.
Mr. President, this concludes the real estate regular agenda.
Thank you, Trustee Rader, and thank you, Mr. Rowland. Before we proceed to the next item on the agenda, let the record reflect that Trustee Clark will recuse himself from item number 1 on the regular legal agenda. Trustee Clark, someone will let you know when to return to the room. Trustee Halliburton, Trustee Clark has now left the room. If you'd please present the legal regular agenda.
Thank you, Trustee Ogletree. The only item on the legal regular agenda is a request from Jackson State for retroactive approval of an outside counsel agreement between the university and the law firm of the Butler Snow Law Firm. The firm will provide legal advice to the university in the areas of patents, trademarks, and related intellectual property issues. This item has been reviewed by IHL staff and legal counsel and was found to be compliant with applicable law and the board's policies. The agreement has been submitted to the Office of the Attorney General for approval, and the board recommends approval of the item subject to the final approval of the Attorney General. I make a motion that the board approve this item.
There's been a motion to approve item number 1 on the regular legal agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
The motion is second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Trustee Parker?
Aye.
Trustee Halliburton?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Trustee Ogletree, this concludes the legal regular agenda.
Thank you, Trustee Halliburton. Dr. Rankins, we're at the point of moving to the administrative section. So if you could present the administrative and policy regular agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. If there are no objections, I would like to present items 1 through 4 as a group.
Hearing none, please proceed.
Item number 1 is the appointment of Trustee Bruce Martin and Dr. Tracy Cook to the Education Achievement Council. The Education Achievement Council was established by the Mississippi Legislature for the purpose of sustaining attention to the goal of increasing the educational attainment and skill level of the state's working population to the national average. The EAC is composed of 23 members who represent education stakeholders from K-12, community colleges, universities, legislators, state agencies, and the business community. Board approval is requested to appoint Trustee Bruce Martin and President Tracy Cook to serve on the EAC. The second item is the appointment of Trustee Hal Parker to the Mississippi Rural Physicians Scholarship Program Commission. This program was established in 2007 to identify and recruit qualified university and college students from rural areas of the state for medical or osteopathic school matriculation. The program is administered by a commission known as the Mississippi Rural Physicians Scholarship Commission. Members do not have a term length. Board approval is requested to appoint Trustee Hal Parker to serve on the Mississippi Rural Physicians Scholarship Commission. Item 3 is the appointment of Trustee Don Clark and the reappointment of President Nora Miller to the University Press of Mississippi Board. University Press is a nonprofit corporation supported by the 8 public universities under the IHL Board. The 19-member Board of Directors for University Press includes 1 IHL Board member and the Commissioner of Higher Education or his designee. Members serve 4-year terms. Board approval is requested to appoint Trustee Don Clark for the term beginning October 16th, 2025 through October 15th, 2029, and to reappoint President Nora Miller as the Commissioner's designee for the term of October 16th, 2025 through October 15th, 2029. The fourth item is the appointment of Trustee Jerry Griffith to the Mississippi Commission for Volunteer Services Board. The commission was established to encourage community service and volunteer participation as a means of community and state problem solving, to promote volunteer citizen involvement in government and private programs throughout the state, and to provide a means by which the state may develop a coordinated and unified plan in response to the National and Community Services Engagement Act of 1993. Board approval is requested to appoint Trustee Jerry Griffith to the Mississippi Commission for Volunteer Services Board of Commissioners for a term beginning October 16th, 2025 through October 15th, 2028. Board staff recommends approval of items 1 through 4.
You've heard the recommendation of approval of items 1 through 4. Is there a motion to approve these items? It's been a motion. Is there a second? Been a motion and second. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Trustee Parker? Trustee Halliburton?
Aye.
The motion passes. And let me just take a moment to thank our trustees who serve in this and many other capacities. On behalf of the board, it takes a lot of time, and I appreciate you being willing to do this. And I've watched y'all engage in these groups, and you do an excellent job on behalf of the state. And we appreciate it.
President Ogletree, this concludes the administration and policy regular agenda.
Thank you, Dr. Rankins. We'll now proceed to the information agendas. Dr. Rankins.
Are there any questions from items on the information agenda? If not, I would like John Pierce to come forward to give us a brief update on our work regarding our funding allocation model. Dr. Pierce.
Thank you, Dr. Rankins. In September, the board heard from NCHEMS, which is the National Center for Higher Education Management Systems, a presentation from Dr. Sarah Pingle that covered education attainment and employment outcomes in Mississippi, the demographic challenges facing the state, including the enrollment cliff, changing institutional funding patterns, including reductions from the state of Mississippi, and discussion of the board's role in all of this as it relates to the allocation of state funds and the need for setting priorities and to accomplish an allocation. And in response, the board passed a resolution directing the staff to develop appropriate financial goals for the university, which would include providing each university with base funding to support operations, which considers the classification of each university, account for the enrollment growth or shrinkage of universities, incentivize meeting the board's identified instruction performance goals and metrics compared to peers, and to be effective for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026. So the board staff has followed up with NCHEMS and had discussions among ourselves and with Dr. Pingle and Dr. Prescott. And we have on your consent agenda today, which you passed, a contract which will move forward this process. The first part of the process will include goal adoption. So NCHEMS will meet with stakeholders, and the goal of these meetings is to provide clarity and to the extent possible consensus on what the outcomes of a new funding model should be. This will include, in conjunction with board staff, having targeted conversations with stakeholders bring together these stakeholders for a clear, succinct statement of goals, and present this to the stakeholders at a meeting. And the timeline for this will be begin a kickoff next month with these meetings. At the November 2025 board meeting, they will present a draft of model options for the board to consider to get feedback. They will then in December and January take part in discussion with institutions and continue discussing with stakeholders. And then finally, in February of 2026, they will prepare for your consideration a single recommended draft model for your approval. And this will be used in anticipation of the April 2026 board meeting when we expect to have received our appropriations from the legislature. And that's typically the time that you would vote on the allocation of funds for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2026. So we just wanted to bring that to your attention and answer any questions that you may have about that.
Trustees, do you have any questions? If not, thank you, Dr. Rankins, and thank you, Dr. Pierce.
President Ogletree, if you will allow me, I would like David Buford, our Director of Risk Management, to briefly give the board an update on his division and their work across the university system. So, Mr. Buford, please come forward.
Good morning. And Dr. Rankins, thank you for the opportunity and the board to let me talk about what we do in risk management and focus on how we support the universities and all the work that they do. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to stop me at any point and ask, for any more details you may have. The IHL Office of Risk Management is organized here at IHL under the Office of Legal Affairs and Risk Management, which is led by Harold Pizzetta. And the risk management staff, it has 3 within the office. That's myself, I'm the director. Glenn Babb is the Safety and Emergency Officer, and his role is safety and emergency. And Rod Dene in my office is the insurance specialist, and he helps me with the insurance issues. And he also runs the office and is like our Swiss Army knife for whatever needs to be done. Now, these are the 3 areas I'm going to focus on and broke it into the self-insured plans, insurance, and safety and emergency. So what is a self-insured plan? Not everybody probably spends time every day with those. So it's like private insurance, rather than pay to purchase that private insurance for certain lines of insurance, we can operate more efficiently through having the universities reserve through these plans and handle claims in a more efficient manner and a lower cost than if we were to purchase that insurance through the commercial market. And so the 3 self-insured plans that we have at IHL are workers' compensation, tort, and unemployment. So we're going to start with the workers' compensation plan. I start with it not just because it's my favorite, but also because it's has the largest exposure. So whereas tort often gets the attention, there's a lot more claims under workers' compensation, and it has more exposure. Real briefly, what workers' compensation is that when you have an employee who's injured on the job, then workers' compensation will provide for medical benefits and lost wage replacement so that they can return to work and be productive as soon as possible. And so that's the goal of workers' compensation. It's also good for the employee, good for the university, and also good for the plan. And so with the focus being return to work, I wanted to mention our third-party administrator, which is often referred to as a TPA, CCMSI, and they do excellent work for us, and they work with the university staff. So I'd like to thank the human resources people at each university who work with this goal of returning employees to work. So within the workers' compensation plan, how are we doing on claim frequency? And so for a number of years now, we've had under 800 claims a year. And to put it into context, we have 28,000 employees. That's a really good number. As you look back historically, it wasn't too long ago, we had 1,500 claims a year. And back as in the early 2000s, claims for the IHL system were around 2,000 a year. This chart, I really like it. It's showing the losses as well as expenses with workers' compensation. You can see we have a nice downward trend, which is what you want to see. Usually workers' compensation is going to correlate with payroll. So that top line is payroll increasing over years. So normally they would run together, but we have a nice divergence, as you can see there. Moving on to the tort plan. This is a good place to also mention litigation management. We do that for workers' compensation and for tort, but all the tort claims come through IHL. They will be assigned to outside counsel. We'll work with university counsel, and we'll work with our TPA, and also the Attorney General's office plays a role in that process. But here's our trend as far as the number of claims. And so we've had under 100 claims for a number of years. You'll see there is a spike right around 2018, and that's one claim that was an anomaly. It was one incident that it had 41 claims. So I meant to say one incident, not one claim. But so so if you drop that down, you'll see it comes in line. But that spike is also an opportunity to mention subrogation. So we had another party who was at fault for those claims, and we were able to recover so that the plan was fully reimbursed for that incident. The third plan is unemployment. The last 4 years have been the lowest since 1999, and I mean lowest as far as total dollars paid. There's also an anomaly spike here on this chart. And that is, I think people could probably guess that's a COVID situation there. So to the next larger category, insurance. Our office performs insurance reviews. So any policy that a university is going to purchase, like a standalone policy for their university, we review that first. We also review all the contracts, all the agenda items that come to the board. My office reviews for the insurance terms in those provisions. And then we also have system level insurance that we procure on a system basis. And so this next slide is just going to talk a little bit about those pooled programs. And so the overall philosophy is we want to use the system's volume to drive competition through RFPs in order to get lower premiums and better coverage. And in doing this, my office works with our IHL Office of Property and Procurement. As far as the scale of what we have 6 system programs that are pooled. We have 16 other contracts that support those efforts. And after procurement, we work throughout the year to try to minimize claims, or if there is a claim, to advocate that the claim gets paid properly. Just to give 3 examples of self-insured programs. The first one I'll mention is property insurance. Certainly the people in this room have heard us talk about property insurance before. That program was consolidated on the system level in 2008, and we estimate it has saved over $125 million in premiums through that time compared to what pre-consolidation rates were. The cyber program that we have, that cyber insurance, was first purchased on the system level in 2017. Its greatest benefit, in my opinion, is a low deductible for incident response. So if there's ever an incident on campus, that low deductible means that we will be able to get access to contractors and be able to respond in the best way possible. The third program is the student health insurance. So this was consolidated in 2020, and it allows students access to gold level coverage at 1/3 of the cost of the average cost of Mississippi for a similar policy. 3,233 students are currently taking advantage of that plan, and it's open to any full-time student in the system. So with safety and emergency, the Office of Risk Management performs campus inspections. We look at construction plan reviews, and we also offer training opportunities in the areas of defensive driving, AED, first aid, and CPR. As far as emergency response, we're the representative for the system with MEMA. That's the Mississippi Emergency Management Agency. And so if there's a state level disaster, we will coordinate resources between the universities and the state. Sometimes that may mean the state needs our help, or we may need the state's help. And this is three examples I pulled just to share on a more granular example under safety and emergency. So this year, risk management has developed and trained university on how to use a software system that focuses on fire safety systems. And it's not something that some of the larger universities weren't doing. So it's a good example of collaboration where we saw a best practice and we decided to roll it out to the smaller universities as well. But now there's over 1,000 safe fire valves on campus that are getting inspected every month. And this process allows us to document that, which keeps our insurance company happy as well. In our role with emergency response, during the pandemic, there was a need for respirators. And we were able to coordinate with Mississippi State University and their engineering department to get some redesign on some old respirators. And we're able to get those able to be used by Mississippi hospitals. And in disaster response, and this is more about preparing for a disaster before it happens, but starting in 2021, we've procured a system disaster mitigation and response contracts. And so now these vendors are in place where we've got pre-negotiated pricing and we have preferred status so that if there's something that affects the whole Southeast, these very capable vendors are prepared to and have promised to show up swiftly on our university campuses. So that is everything I wanted to cover as briefly as I could. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
One question. First of all, thank you for what you do. And on the defensive driving,
Right.
who is it offered to? I think that's a great idea. Who is it offered to?
Yeah, it's offered to anyone who wants to take advantage of it. And so Glenn Babb in my office, he'll travel to any university and teach it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Are there other questions? Not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll tell you a little bit of what goes on in executive session without discussing any specifics. That's where we see Mr. Buford quite frequently. And he makes excellent presentations to us on claims or whatever the matter is. He will often bring in the attorney who's working that may be private counsel with us or the attorney general, special assistant attorney general working with us. And they fully brief us and we ask questions and then we make decisions and then he may go forward and try to seek recovery back under either indemnifications or other possibilities that we have. So we do appreciate the work that he does and we wanted to share with you a little bit of that part of IHL. Commissioner, did you have anything further?
No, that concludes my report.
I thank you, Commissioner. Is there any other additional agenda item that needs to be considered? Is there any other business to discuss? Okay, if not, our next regular scheduled meeting for November will be on November 20th. Is there a motion to close the meeting to determine the need for an executive session? It's been a motion. Is there a second? Any discussion? Not all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay? Trustee Parker? All right. Trustee Halliburg?
Aye.
Then the motion passes. So other than the IHL trustees and any IHL staff that are not needed for executive session, you should leave the room or disconnect. And the visitors are welcome to wait out in our lobby. And trustees, if you would give us just a minute to make sure that we have all the appropriate participants connected. Thank you.
And so driving.
All right. Thank you for doing that.
Oh, maybe.